What's up, guys? Just gonna let a couple people roll in here for a minute before I get started. Pull that up. That's good. Yes. Perfect. What's up, guys? Good morning. Oh, where are you at? Is it morning? Where would it be morning right now? Japan? Because I'm on the West Coast, and that's usually at the very end of the day cycle for everyone. Oh, Australia. Okay. Close. What time is it? 3 a.m. in Thailand? Wow. What are you doing up at 3 a.m.? The markets aren't really even open right now, so 3 a.m. is wild. 9 p.m. in Nigeria. It is 1 p.m. here, middle of the day. 6 a.m. Up early. Your day starts right when the markets kind of close. Australia would be so if you're a morning person and a trader, Australia is not the place to live. If you are a night person, it absolutely is. Yeah, that's so depressing. You wake up in the morning and you want to trade. Oh, markets are closing. Sorry. Now you gotta wait. Midnight for New York Open. Yeah, that's super awkward. Yeah. I feel like the Vancouver, where I'm from, is pretty nice because um, New York Open is 6:30 a.m. But I do miss London session completely. So it's not great. I can trade Asian session. I can trade New York, but I just cannot trade London. So it's like a little awkward if you like London session. It's probably better for me not to try to trade every session actually. Just be sitting at my computer just like trading for 10 hours straight. Okay, so guys, today we are going to take a look at the PFK Alpha EA, which is an expert advisor for MT5 that we built around the PFK Alpha strategy. I'm just going to give an example of picking a challenge that we would want to run it on, and then kind of like looking at the parameters of the challenge, and then setting up the EA so it runs on the challenge properly, and it has a good it has the best chance of doing what it's supposed to do, which is hopefully pass. So that's going to be in today's books here. I'm going to record the session and I'll put it up on YouTube as well for anyone that can't watch the whole thing. It's all good. So I'm going to look at Blueberry Funded here real quick. And if you have any questions in the chat too, you can ask. I'm just chilling today. So Blueberry Funded has a million different types of challenges at this point. Pretty soon it's going to be like a full page of different challenges. They got prime, one step, two step, rapid, synthetic, instant. Well, two instants. Wow. So anyway, I'm going to stick to what I know. I like the one step for Blueberry. You can do two step. They're both good. But let's look at the one step today. Let's say a one step 100K. Let's just say that. How much is that? 550? How much is it? 10K? 75. Okay, so it's like 50% off, 50% cheaper per $10,000. That's not bad. That's the one benefit about going with higher capital is like you pay less, right? You get 10 times more capital for cheaper. Anyway, if we look at the one-step evaluation, we have 10% profit target, 6% max loss, 4% daily loss. Okay, and then the most important thing for one step is they have static drawdown, which is not common for prop firm one steps. So that's why I said Blueberry is pretty good for one step. The only catch for Blueberry is they want 3 minimum trading days, which isn't bad anyway, because 10% profit. If you're making 10% in a day, probably too risky anyway for prop firm trading. So 3 minimum trading days. The way they identify a trading day is 0.5% profit, from what I remember. And then yeah, you can do copy trading, which is good. They're MT5, which is why we're looking at them. That way you can run an MT5 EA on these MT5 prop firms. So it'll be algorithmic trading will be enabled, right, for on their end, which is good. So we'll keep that in mind. 10% profit, 4% daily max loss. Okay. Now let's go over. Let's say I bought this here. Yeah, it works on Funded Next. Funded Next has MT5. So that's all good. Are you planning on an Orb EA in the future? Yeah, it's in the works right now. Hopefully a couple weeks out. We're just dialing it in. It's functional. It's just not designed with a good user interface yet. So it'll be around. It's going to be really fun to have for the community, because we'll all be able to find different orbs to trade. Okay, so let's say Blueberry funded here. This is what the EA inputs look like here. And also, if I hide this, this is what the EA looks like when it's on a chart. Right now it's on gold. You can see it's outside trading hours because the market is, or outside trading hours because it runs from hour 4 to hour 20. So right now it's hour 23, so it won't be running. We hard stop trades before market reset because we don't want to trade through market reset. The spreads open way up and it creates a lot of issues. Unless you have a swing trade position, that's the only time that you can hold trades over market reset, but it's still risky, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you're specifically a swing trader. But prop firm and swing trading is a difficult game. There's a few prop firms that have good swing trading accounts, but not many. Yeah, so this is what the trading panel looks like once it's on your chart. You see it's on gold right now. So it will be automatically trading. But we have this dashboard here, which is really interesting, right? So this is the dashboard where we upload a bunch of different set files. And the set file is just basically different settings for the EA, but it still follows the base function of the entry model of the PFK Alpha. So you can see here, I name them all different stuff. We backtest them from, well, right now we're doing backtests, 3-month backtest and 1-year backtest. We have 1 5-year backtest, right? It's not bad. It's pretty good, but it's the further back you backtest, the less aggressive it's going to be because you have to filter out all sorts of different market conditions over a 5-year cycle. So I prefer like the 1 year because it's a bit more aggressive, although not as robust. So that's the trade-off. But I like the idea of saving time rather than sitting in a challenge for too long. So yeah, I like the 1 year. The 3 months are good too. They can both perform well, right? You don't really know which one's going to perform well, but they all have potential too. So yeah, so we can see, let's go to the 1 year. And then we can go to gold, right? So we'll go to gold. And these are all the assets that we currently have set files for. So all of these have settings for these assets that we've backtested. So if you wanted to run like that, the S&P 500, you could do that. But let's just look at gold. And then we can see the backtest results are posted. Now this is going to be backtested on a broker called Alpari. And that's the one bad thing about Forex. Is all the brokers have different data. They're related, but they're not perfect. So if you backtest on Alpari and then you go backtest on Blueberry, for example, the backtest results are going to be different. There's no way around that. So that's just kind of like the one problem with Forex. So anyway, there's a few little things, a piece of information on here. This one's called Cowboy. It takes an average of 1.5 trades per day. It only runs during New York session, and it's done really well, actually, because PFK Alpha was actually struggling for a few months when price was consolidating. I'll show you like Hank, right? See how it went on a really good run, and then for a couple months it's really choppy. Well, that's because it was trading Asian and London session as well, and there was just a lot of volatile whipsaw price action for a couple months there. But trading PFK Alpha during New York only was totally fine over the last 3 months. So it's kind of interesting outcomes here. Now, that's not to say Cowboy is going to do better than Hank. Hank could go on a hot streak. Cowboy could be slow, or vice versa. We don't know. Can't tell the future. But the backtest results are just to kind of give us an idea of, what kind of average trades per day are we looking at, and what kind of potential drawdown could we look at. And this one had a period where there was 6% drawdown, which is totally normal. And losing streaks are going to be a part of any strategy. So, obviously here we have some losing streaks, right? So that's going to happen with any trading strategy, manual or automated, right? So it's part of the game. So anyway, I'll pull this up here. So let's say I like Cowboy. Let's say I like Cowboy. So I would just download that, and then I would load it up on my PFK Alpha EA right here. I just load it up. So we'll go through the settings here. Once I load Cowboy up, here, let me load it up. Did I download it? Actually, let me check. I don't think I downloaded it. I have to click this. Download. Okay, downloaded. Yes, sir. And then I'll load it up here. Cowboy. Okay. Now just go through the settings. And just keeping in mind that the Blueberry funded challenge, we need a 10% profit on a 100K account. So these settings here, I'm not going to touch because these are the settings for Cowboy, but the risk settings themselves I can adjust for my liking. So that's where this starts, where it says risk here. Very simple. So this here is one. Right now it's set to 1 by default, so that's 1% per trade. Well, I could go, if I wanted to, I could go like 1.5% per trade, or maybe I want to start off slow just to see how the EA feels. I could risk 0.5% per trade. So it's that easy. It'll auto detect your balance that the EA is connected to on the account, and then risk. So because this one's 100K, it'll risk $1,000 per trade. Right, it'll automatically calculate the lot sizes you need, take that position relative to the stop loss, and take that lot size to risk 1% based on the stop loss, which is right here. The stop loss is the 1 hour ATR of the asset. So using the ATR is really nice because it makes every asset kind of relevant. Right, because if I had if I want to do a 50 pip stop loss, well, that's going to be way different. 50 pips on gold is way different than 50 pips on USD CAD. So using the ATR stop loss is by far the best way to do it if you're wanting to trade multiple assets with an EA. Now, I wouldn't recommend trading multiple assets on one account. I like to do one asset per account and just seeing if that input can run it. So if I pick Cowboy, I'm only going to run Cowboy. All these are aggressive enough to only run one account. Like this will have enough trades over week to potentially pass or fail the challenge. It's not like it's not going to trade for weeks. It has an average of 1.5 trades per day, so you'll at least find 1 or 2 trades per day on average. So that's just something to think about, because the problem with running like 2 inputs, if I ran XAU USD and then I ran a USD JPY on the same account, Might have margin issues. Prop firms have issues if you're over leveraging margin, or if you're in too many positions, they think it's risky. Uh, there's a bunch of other reasons, and then you can't control the risk as much either. Like right here, see the risk here. I'm going to set that to true, and my maximum daily loss I set to 3,500 because we know 4%, right? So I have a little bit of a buffer. It's not going to go past 3,500. All the trading is going to deactivate if you hit that 3,500 loss there. So if you have two inputs running, then you would have to cut that in half. It would be awkward. You would have to cut this in half to like 1750. Because if you add both of those together, that'll be 3,500. If you know what I mean. So one input is the way to go. And you could also set max profit here if you want to like stop trading on the day, if you don't want to make too much in a day, because that's another thing prop firms don't like to see, is if you pass in one day. And obviously we don't want to pass Blueberry in one day either, because we still need 3 trading days total. So you set that like 5,000, 5%, that's fair, that's enough. Or 6,000, 5 or 6% is totally fine. Max position is open, so this will be set to 1 by default, but you could do 2. I wouldn't, especially on a prop firm like Blueberry where they have max lot sizes anyway. Oh, and that's one thing I have to talk about. See, this input we added is max lot size. Well, some prop firms will have max lot size per asset. So let's go back to Blueberry and we can go to their FAQ. Max lot size. Let's see. 2-step, 1-step here. Okay, so you see this. They have a nice table here for us. We can see that XAU USD on a 100K account is 2 lots max. Okay, so we would set that to 2. That way we don't break their rule of max lot size by accident. Usually, because we use the 1 hour ATR for the stop loss, unless an asset is very, doesn't have a lot of movement, we usually stay under these max lot sizes with the PFK Alpha EA. But yeah, if you're running something like CAD, CHF, for example, if we look at this on Forex pairs, they only allow 12 lots for Forex. And with a pair with almost no volatility, you're going to need a lot more than 12 lots to get in on any type of relevant day trade. So that's why it's important to trade assets that have higher volatility, so you can actually make money in the trade if it goes your way, right? Otherwise, you need a huge move that might take days just to make any sort of relevant gains on a trade if at 12 lots for Forex. So yeah, that's set to 2. And then now we're protected, right? Max trades per day, max open positions, max trades per day. That can just be unlimited, right? Because we already have our max loss and max profit. So it's going to hit one of these or somewhere in between if it can't find another trade. So that's kind of nice. You have that protection there. And then the break even filter, I wouldn't mess around with this unless you're back testing. Right now it's on, right? But we can see that some of them don't have it enabled. So Cowboy did have it enabled because it was back tested with the break even, but Hank was back tested without it. So if you activate break even, it's going to change the backtest results. You could try it, you could enable it and see how it does, but yeah, I wouldn't. That's kind of part of the backtest settings, so I wouldn't mess around with it unless you're specifically backtesting yourself. Okay, so a couple other things here. Enable trading window. Trading window is nice, guys, because this is like when we backtest it, we start at like hour 3. So For example, hour 1 is when the market opens. Hour 0 is when it closes. So 5 p.m. Eastern time is hour 0. 6 p.m. Eastern time when it opens, that's hour 1. So this starts trading hour 3, which is 3 hours. Hour 3 would be 6 or 8 p.m. Eastern time, right? Kind of close to when the Asian session opens. But you can do backtests here on different sessions. For example, hour 10 is when London session opens, so you could backtest gold and only trade it during London session. And it just gives you options of like when you want to trade. We do have, if we go back to the dashboard, you can see like we have various inputs that starts at different times, right? See how this one starts New York. You could filter just New York or just London. See, these two start only London session and they run through to New York. These ones start Asian session. These ones start New York session. The Asian sessions have a much larger time window of trading, right? Because the Asian session is the first session of the day to go. So hour 4 to 22 means you're trading all 3 sessions. Hour 10 to 22 means you're trading London and New York. And then hour 15 to 22 means you're only trading New York, right? So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, that's part of the preset settings as well. Once again, you wouldn't want to mess around with it unless you're backtesting and optimizing it around different start hours yourself. RSI filters in these settings, it's not activated. We have RSI and ADX filters, and that just kind of helps eliminate market conditions that aren't ideal for the PFK Alpha. They're disabled in this set file, but they are enabled in other set files. So yeah, that's just something that is also been backtested and optimized for, so you wouldn't want to mess around with this unless you're backtesting. And this one's actually pretty interesting, the news filter. So news filter, you want to set to true. I don't know why I was set to false there. That's kind of cowboy set to false if anyone's using cowboy. And then if you were trading gold, you just want to filter out the USD news. But let's say you're trading USD CAD. Well, then you would put in USD and CAD. And then it's automatically going to close your trades around the red folder news that we get off of Forex Factory. So if there's a red folder event coming up on Forex Factory, it's going to close any positions that you have 30 minutes before, and it won't open any positions until 30 minutes after. So it just protects your account from news trading, which is super important. Because prop firms do not like the news trading, trust me. I don't even care if they say they allow it. If you hit a clean, perfect move, 10x on a news trade, they're going to be like, I don't think so. You're gambling. We don't want your business. So what else we got here? Okay, this is just for backtesting here. And at the bottom right here, we want to enable the target. And with Blueberry Funded, we were at 10% profit to pass. So if you're targeting 10% profit, the EA is going to shut down and stop trading after you hit your profit target, because some prop firms don't automatically stop your account and pass you. You literally have to close the trade and not trade anymore. They'll give you the opportunity to lose the money still, trust me. So the way I do that is I go 110,000, right? And then I'll just go like $100 over just to make sure I get past there, because there's nothing worse than like passing a challenge, but then you're $20 short, so you still need to make another winning trade just to pass that overall profit target. Yeah, so that's kind of the way I do it. Just a little bit extra on top. So those are all the risk settings and kind of how I navigate applying a prop firm challenge to the EA, and then it would just run, and then you just let it run. And what I recommend is just picking one set file. Like if I was going to pick GBP JPY, like if I was going to pick Caleb here, if I was going to pick Caleb, I would just run Caleb on one account, and I'm just going to let it go all the way through. If it loses the first 2 trades, I'm not going to say, oh, this one sucks, I'm going to delete it and try a different one. I'm just going to pick one and see if it can pass. Because I think that's one of the hard parts about the game is people experience a loss and they want to jump to a different ship and then jump to a different ship, and then it's just pure chaos with the whole strategy on the account, right? And then especially from if you do end up passing and you traded like 5 different assets randomly, they're gonna be like, hey, can we do an interview and you can explain to us your strategy because you're trading everything, right? So it's better just to pick one and run with it. Yeah, but couple things in the works. We're updating this thing so this GMT offset's going to be removed. It's going to auto detect the broker time rather than having to manually input it. You'll just have to input it manually for backtesting, but that's okay. So that'll be nice to have. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it so far. Pretty much it. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can let me know about the PFK Alpha or the strategy itself or the EA. We have videos. We just created a PDF for the strategy itself as well. So if you don't have that, it's in my bio on Instagram. You can get it there. Everything that is good is in there. Currently, I'm running 7 different challenges with the 7 assets on the PFK Alpha. So I picked one input from each asset and I'm running them on 7 challenges. There's a video on it on my YouTube. If you want to see the weekly result, and then I will do another one at the end of this week. Can we use one PFK Alpha algo for 3 or 4 different funded accounts? Absolutely, you can. You just need to run a new MT5 instance for each account, right? Because you can't have the robot on this. You have to, right? Because if you look at this, if I switch to my Blueberry funded account here, then I would go off my Alpari account and then the Alpari wouldn't run. So you need to have a new instance running, and then you have one account per instance. So you would just have MT5 tabs at the bottom here to cycle through, right? So yeah, you can run as many as your computer will allow you to. How do you get information on my bots? We have lots of stuff. Yeah, we have the video. I can send you the video first. Yeah, in my bio there, in my IG bio, if you want to check that out, you can see, sorry, I have a bit of a head cold. You can see the PFK Alpha EA. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, right here. So this is my IG bio. So yeah, I think just watch, if you want more info, like more in-depth info, you can watch this video first, and that kind of shows the whole thing. So, and then whenever you're ready, we have 5-day free trials or 7-day free trials. You can try it out for a whole week, let it trade on a demo account or a prop from challenge, whatever you want. Yeah, Sharky, we designed the EA for prop from challenges because I'm a prop from trader, right? I get questions like, can we trade on a real account? Like, you can, but it's designed specifically for prop from challenges. I think it's probably a little bit high risk for like a real account, but you could reduce the risk. You go like 0.25% per trade or something, right? If you wanted to go a bit lower risk. Yeah, but we designed it so it either passes or fail, like a one step like this. A one step like this, it should pass or fail within 2 weeks usually on average. If you get a good run, you could pass in a week. The one I'm running on gold right now, I'm at 7% profit, so I could pass this week. This is week 2. So you have to realize 10% profit, guys. That's how much the stock market averages a return year over year in one whole year. So that's a lot of profit to make, and that's why it's important to be more aggressive. You don't want to trade a prop firm challenge for a whole year, right? That would be ridiculous. By the time you're funded, the prop firm's going to be out of business. So that's why prop firm trading is a little different. You have to be more aggressive because you have to perform. You have to outperform alpha essentially, and alpha is around 10% on the S&P 500. So that's kind of an important concept to understand, and that's why the EA is more aggressive. That's why I recommend using 1.5% risk per trade on the risk settings, because 1.5 is kind of aggressive enough to where you're going to get an outcome sooner than later. If you set it to like 0.5% per trade, I mean, you could be trading that thing for a month before you either pass or fail. You might as well just take the risk. Now, if for example you can only buy one challenge in a month, then you could go a bit lower risk. But I think it's a better idea to get a lower cost challenge and potentially run 2 or 3 challenges in a month, because your probability of passing one of those is going to be quite a lot higher. Pretty high. I think the base probability of passing a one step with the PFK Alpha is about 30%, the blind probability. So you do have to understand that, because the way prop firm challenges are designed, manual traders, to pass something like this, the success rate is under 10%. So it's very low. So the EA does help the probability by quite a bit. And it also saves you a bunch of time, which is why I like it. Can I shut up my computer? No, you have to have MT5 running. So the way I work around that is I have a VPS. So a VPS is like a designated machine that you can install MT5 on, and then it's just running 24/7. So you log into the VPS right through your computer, and you can trade right from VPS. Every prop firm allows VPS except for like one that I've seen in the past, which was I can't even remember which prop firm it was. But yeah, it's very normal to trade on VPS. I would recommend finding a VPS in your country, so the IP shows from the same country, but it still doesn't matter as long as your name's on the invoice where you're getting charged. Sometimes the prop firm will ask for the VPS account information just to confirm that it is your IP. But other than that, yeah, that's the best way to do it. Some people in the VIP will be trading it. They leave their laptop on and running. But the VPS can be like $15 a month, right? So pretty cheap. Can you run multiple MT5s on one VPS? Yes. Yeah, exactly. You definitely can. That's the point of it, yeah. So you can have a bunch of MT5 instances on one VPS, and you could be running like 10 challenges at once if you wanted, which is ideal, right? What did you say the pass percentage of? Well, I can't say exactly what it's going to be, but I can say like if the PFK Alpha EA took 100 of these challenges here, then if everything's functioning the way it should, it would be 30%, right? But if the market conditions are good for PFK Alpha, it's going to be much higher. But I would say the very worst, it should be 30%. That's what I should say. At the very worst, it should be about 30%. So if you took 100 challenges, 30 of those should pass and get funded, which is great, right? Considering the industry average is so much lower for manual retail trading. And I think that's going to be the hardest part. That's the hardest part about prop firm trading in general, is you have to understand that failing challenges is just part of the whole process to make money long term with prop firms. Like I failed challenges all the time. But the whole goal is to be net profitable month over month, which is how I play it. Did anyone already manage to withdraw? Yeah, we've had VIP members pass accounts and hit payouts using EA. It hasn't been up and running for very long, so it's still new. But like the longer it goes, the more success stories we'll see in the VIP success channel and all that. So it's just people have to, because it's just newly released, like within the last 5 to 6 weeks, people have to use it, and it takes a little bit of time before we see that wave of success come through, right? So we'll be seeing a lot more, which will be really cool. So currently this EA only runs on Forex, not futures at the moment. I still manually trade my futures accounts too. So in the future, it would be nice to get futures set up on it. Would you recommend Blueberry 1 or 2 step? Honestly, I think if you're looking to get your first funded accounts, like past your first challenge, I think the 1 step is probably better because it's much less of a grind. And when you have 1 step with static drawdown, it's not as easy to sabotage yourself over time. You just have to hit that 10% and then you're funded. So I think the 1 step is a good one to start with. I would whatever your budget is, just remember, like, look, 100K is 550, right? At 10K is 75. So if you scale that, 100K should cost 750 for the same amount of capital, but it costs 550. So you get $200 off, which is about a 30% reduction in overhead costs per 10K of capital, essentially, right? So that's one thing. That's one thing to consider. I know there are prop firms out there that actually don't have cheaper for hire. I think maybe Maven. Maven doesn't have MT5, but you can use copy traders too. Actually, I'm not sure, but where's Maven? Here it is. So let's see, $44, $440. Yeah, Maven doesn't increase their or reduce their price, so they have a really cheap 10Ks. Maven, not bad. Not too bad. Oh, they do have MT5. What? They never told me that. When did that happen? Crazy. Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Appreciate you guys swinging by. I'll post the video on YouTube if you jumped in late. No worries. And yeah, if you're ever interested in trying out the EA, obviously we have the 7-day free trial as well. You can get that. You can always check out my bio for everything, or you can go to our website. You can't even, that's not even a link. Whatever. All right, guys, I'll talk to you in a bit. Peace.